Ahoy, my friends and family, and welcome back to the Church of One and All through Nikola Tesla's amazing invention of Wi-Fi technology. I've yet to broadcast live, but that can happen. Because it's so to me. Like it or not, everything I see is still gonna be me. It's so I to me. Every freaking wave is the same as the sea. Boom. Hi, my friends. Today I had decided I wanted to film another video in this lovely, precious spot, sacred place here, and I was in Aptos, California yesterday, on the other side of the cliffs at the library, and I just had some cold brew, and this came out of me, and I decided I wanted to read it to you here in this lovely spot along West Cliff. So here goes. Your true responsibility, should you take it on. Your true responsibility, should you take it on, is to be your own boss in every way, every single way possible. As my friend Dr. Bruce Lipton says, you are the king of all your trillions of cells. You must rule over your body as a good king would. And I don't really like this analogy because we want to move past the idea. I tend to agree with Mark Passio on this point that it's a bad idea to have a king, but anyways, you're in charge of all your cells. You're the ruler of all your trillions of cells in your body, right? So you must rule over your body as a good king would. He says, Dr. Bruce, your cells are your responsibility. And yet I prefer to agree with Mark Passio on another topic. On some topics, as he is a Leo who does not believe in authority. I was just on his live chat, the first he has had in a long time, and he is a Leo who does not believe in authority, kingship, or government. After formerly being a high Satanist priest, ironically, right? He transcended it, and he's trying to help us all transcend the sick concepts. I just before I type this out, I just watched his presentation, Government is Slavery. He says the definition of a human right or morality, in other words, is any action that does not cause harm to another sentient being. An immoral act is that which causes harm to another. I fully agree, yet sadly I have to accept that perhaps millions of years ago Lucifer tinkered with my divine human form. Millions of years before I got it, at least 26,000 years ago, and that my brain needs cholesterol and DHA. So stealing eggs and killing and eating fish are a few of the only acts I would have done that harmed others. Since I would also be very angry if I didn't give my brain the proper cholesterol. Now, I'm not sure, if Mr. Passio understands this, or he cares to watch this or hear or share what he knows, to go beyond the vegan dogma, shall we say. So, however, I don't, they claim to have figured out how to make cholesterol out of seaweed, so I'd be interested to know if anyone knows if that can work. I meant to say DHA. I meant to say DHA. They claim to have been able to synthesize something similar to that out of seaweed. I don't know. So while on the topic of Lucifer, in other words, because this morally retarded junior god with masterful scientific and mind control power unplugged 11 of our DNA strands and started mixing us with the Syrian race, then now I need cholesterol. I can't be a vegan because this brain needs cholesterol, okay? While on the topic of Lucifer, I must say it is possible, even if you don't have the discipline to meditate or discern and discipline your mind enough to turn off radio station 666 100% of the time. The Archons or the wetikos, derogatory voices in everyone's heads. You can at least learn to turn it down or tell them they're dumb, morally speaking. Morally speaking, they're always going to be the opposite of truth and freedom. Okay? These voices that try to beam into everyone's heads, it is the number one front lines cause of most of the not, direct energy weapons and not flooding and not any kind of traditional warfare part of World War III, which is what it's always been, but it's just the frequency. Radio station 666 in the last 6 months probably has been turned up way higher. I can feel it. And they want you to kill other people, kill yourself, and etc. So it's possible that you can turn it down, okay? No matter who you are, or tell them they're dumb, because morally speaking, they are always the opposite of truth and freedom. I'll say it again. I am reading Paul Levy's book, Wetikos, the Mind Virus. The second book. It's the first one I've read because it was the only one on PDF, and he goes way into this topic, and he calls it, a mind virus, and the Native Americans said it's a sickness, a vampire of the mind. In the Mahayana and in the ancient Buddhist tradition, there's one sect called the Mahakala. I might be getting the name wrong, but there's one sect, and it was a huge jaw with fangs, is what they had, and it's supposed to represent the adversary or the devil or the demiurge, and they would offer it gifts of rice and human edible things that humans could eat, like rice cakes that were painted all pretty, and they would put their cancer or their worries or whatever they wanted to heal or work on into these cakes and put it in the jaws to release their burdens and to give it back. It was an interesting ritual. So for your flesh suit cells, you want to eat organic, fresh, whole foods. Stay away from sugar. Use tubers as your carbs and starch, and I totally agree with Dr. Gundry, who says that your intestines need tubers. I mean, some of us can do the keto thing, but most people need some carbohydrates at some point, or the bowels get a little bit, tense. I am reading, I have learned from talented psychics like Agvel Seva some creative techniques on how to deal with this. For your flesh suit cells, you want to eat organic, fresh, whole food. Stay away from sugar. Use tubers as your carbs and starch. Eat good oils and eliminate bad ones. Eat healthy proteins and essential fats in the proper portions. Learn to eat 30 grams, up to 30 grams of protein per meal if you're a woman. 40 plus if you're a larger man. You have to follow the basics, and then when you understand the basics of nutrition, which is macronutrients, then you want to remember to include micronutrients, which again, if you were on the raw dairy or raw drinking down eggs as I've gotten accustomed to, or the ketogenic plan, you will find, but also you will find in grasses. If you're vegan, you will find, or transitioning to figure all these things out, you will get them in grasses, seaweeds, and whole animal foods, as well like milk, eggs, and fish. Like I said, just I eat for the nutritional necessity and for healing. I'm at the phase now where I've had to, due to a half-rotten tooth, I've had to have 100% discipline on my diet. So you might have to give up all the junk food, as I have recently here, and if you want to turn your junk DNA into the higher mind functions of the reclaimed, divine, and soul human in ascension. Okay, and due to the fact that I have had the discipline to try to save that tooth, I gave up chips, for example. It's part of my shadow work, or just healing this body as well. That it's a habit that was deeply ingrained in me as a childish habit, and I certainly feel that getting mostly raw, actually all of my food being cooked or by myself or raw, I certainly feel a lot stronger in my body. It's been a week or two now that I had found one bag of chips I stashed, and I ate it, but it didn't cause me harm. But then I said, you know what, I'm trying to heal this. I'm thinking about getting the Prodentin, and let me know if anyone out there has tried it. And so I just decided to bring out the basics of nutrition here. So to become to reclaim your divine and soul human and ascension, for this you must open your mind to the fact that you can have the personal self-love, self-respect, and self-discipline to ignore or ridicule the Archon killer vampires when they speak to you in your thoughts, as they do with us all. Were the pharmaceutical antidepressants in the Columbine high school shooter's brain were on? Were the antidepressants that they were on an amplifier designed to relay the Archon's messages to be considered even more as their own thoughts? You be the judge. You decide. Don't let others decide for you. Take a breath with me. Breathe in that good ass prana. As a person of peace, I have only ever obeyed their commands to verbal abuse and social triangulation and torments as a narcissistic young man. The most I've ever obeyed the archonic voices is to verbally abuse people in line, or cashiers when I was running late, or family and friends when I was running late, But as soon as I realized the whole clock is a fabrication of these powerfully deceptive beings, then especially because my Mayan cosmology chart, the prayer says I am guided by the power of timelessness, I realized that I have a really hardcore job, and as part of what Mark Passio calls the great work, and that is to bring timelessness back, to ridicule as a sacred heyoka, to ridicule the fucking fake ass clock. Even when it whips my ass, I would make fun of it. And that's how you transcend these demons and start making fun of them, It's probably one of the best ways. So for this, you must open your mind to the fact that you can have the personal self-love, self-respect, and self-discipline to ignore or ridicule the Archon killer vampires when they speak to you in your thoughts. As a person of peace, I have only obeyed their commands to verbal abuse and social triangulation and torments as a narcissistic young man, but I never really felt like myself when I acted abusive. When I was verbally abusive, I always had this really subtle creeping suspicion that I was being played, that I could feel the devil playing me, in the back of my mind. It's like, no, this could lead to cancer, this could lead to herpes, or whatever. So I never really felt like myself. I always sensed the manipulation under the covers. I have always identified with the Christ and peace within, and the Heyoka in me has felt the need to shame bullies and killers in the past. Maybe it was my custom wetiko, my custom Archon, but telling the truth has saved my own life countless times. Even when this one time over here, about 50 yards from where I'm sitting here, when an alcoholic killer, Illuminati lawyer was about to mace me one night after he had decided he was going to have to kill me or punch me out or attack me for a while. And I shamed him out of it. I don't recommend it. I don't recommend to try that. I don't recommend that, everyone. And harmlessness, as much as you can, tell the devil in your mind. Tell the devil in your mind when they tell you to kill yourself or someone else, or abuse them verbally even. Tell the devil when that happens, no, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to do that. You, Lucifer, are a moral idiot and retard when it comes to respect and morality. You have none. I will not kill anybody. I don't want to kill myself. I did have a real hard day. But you spiritual morons are not going to convince me of anything. Because you don't have any respect. You're not real. You're a fabrication of a bunch of blood drinking and black magic. As soon as you left the planet, okay? You don't get to take over this planet because you don't have any love or respect. Okay? You are going to eventually realize that if you want to have any energy at all, you're going to have to respect your mother once again. You're going to have to respect, that as long as you don't have any respect, you won't have any powers. They'll go down the drain. I'm not sure how that's going to work out, but the second coming of Christ, again, that's why I agree with Mark Passio on many points. I've got to make media because I believe, I be truth, that once it gets to, as the Satanists well know, over half the world knows the truth, then we can create a world of peace, discernment, harmlessness, and freedom. So, maybe if you tell the devil, you spiritual morons are not going to convince me of anything. Maybe if you could ever learn some self-love, I'd listen to you or channel your likes. And by the way, probably over 90% of people who channel things on YouTube, it's probably a draconian or Anunnaki spirit pretending to be nice. And then you find out after you get into their teachings, just like 95% of all the other religious traditions and all of the Abrahamic stuff, Jerry Marzinsky worked as a psychologist in several mental institutions for over 20 years, maybe 30 years. And he studied the voices in people's heads. He soon learned when people were upset, they'd often say the exact same things about how they were going to kill you or abuse you or whatever. These were the voice of the Archons. These were the, because for them it's like having not just a loose drip, it's like having a loose fountain. When these people get possessed by the dark beings that think they run this planet and they run the Matrix. So He soon learned when people were upset, they'd often say the exact same things because these were the voice of the Archons, or the wetikos, and folks who obeyed the commands. When you think about it, we are on this beautiful, sacred, divine, beautiful globe, Gaia, and these amazing, wildly powerful flesh suit avatars, supposedly given the unbelievably amazing gift of free will. But right now, and for maybe a million years now, we have been forced to fight for our freedoms, our free will, our freedom of speech, all of our freedoms, in a psychological and information war. And yet our human condition is that the untrained or unaware, or the unbegun, as the high priests of hell call it, the normies are in a state of a mental planetary nightmare psychologically, which was well into effect probably centuries before Humans 2.0 was ever even considered. Our minds have been under attack by these same parasites who so masterfully created our financial slave matrix. I mean, they did a great job. I read G. Edward Griffin's book, The Creature from Jekyll Island. You can find the PDF for free online. I read most of it, over 600 pages, and they had to meet in a secret train, take a train to the coast, a secret island off the coast of Georgia, Jekyll Island, to create the FED. So the whole thing is, if evil could be genius kind of thing, okay? That's the story. Ever since these beings have tried to rule over the planet Earth, it's if evil could be genius, if killers could be genius, then this gets to rule. And that is not, again, humanity as a whole, over 50% of humanity is going to have to face the fact that that most kings, or if not all, are illegitimate. The government's illegitimate because it was stolen power, under duress, taken under duress. Okay? So, the normies are in a state of mental planetary nightmare, which is well into effect probably centuries before Humans 2.0 was even considered. Our minds have been under attack by these same parasites who so masterfully created our financial slave matrix, the immensely powerful and ridiculous anti-life vampires who run the human slave farm, the Archons, the wetikos, or the Luciferian beings, the demiurge, or whatever name. I could say something that would offend more people, or whatever name you want to call it. Okay? When they appear in your thoughts, although you might have to utilize sympathy for the devil temporarily, because I haven't had any good results applying what Andrew Bartz's insane idea of telling them off. Telling them off can cause repercussions if you get reckless. They might be able to harm you more if you get angry because they get further in your aura. So it is essential to not identify with the violent imposters pretending to be you, and just say no to the devil in your mind. Okay? That's been the message I've said on 400 videos here, because this is one of the keyest points. It's not you. Just say no. Forget it. Forget about it to those voices. And after a while, if you're really serious, they're not going to be able to get you to do anything, and they'll try to find someone else. However, the other night, when I was feeling very lonely and discouraged, I heard a loud voice in my mind tell me that I should kill myself. I said, no, fuck you, Archon. You should kill yourself. And then I imagined myself grabbing his head and putting it in the toilet and flushing the toilet down. I wouldn't recommend such a drastic or violent thought form reaction or shamanic action, but yet that did do the trick. I didn't hear this voice telling me I wanted to kill myself anymore after that. Because again, our brains, as the Buddhists have taught for years, are radio receivers. And I didn't hear any more suicidal thoughts beaming in loudly after that. He was silent. And so because these motherfuckers don't know what to do with it if you take back your mind. And that's why, again, Buddhism is one of the few traditions that couldn't really be infiltrated by these idiot beings who are really talented at sucking. I say they're idiots when it comes to morality. The point is creativity again. They don't have human emotion or creativity. They have to copy or steal everything. So that's why they love us. We're like it's like the Jane's Addiction song, you know. We'd make great pets. We make great pets. Point is, okay. Creativity again. If as a species we are to get through this insane war, psychological war, temporal war, nanotech war, and spiritual awakening, it is going to require creativity on all of our parts. For you see, the divine mind operates in the opposite of the compulsory school system and hijack university systems and those employers who said if you don't take it you'll lose your job. Exactly the opposite. Okay? You are not rewarded simply for being able to memorize the most facts and numbers when your right brain hemisphere gets slightly atrophied in natural healing methods. From Buddhism to shamanism, you will often be rewarded far more for using your natural goddess-given gift of creativity. From the greatest masters of meditation to the greatest shamanic masters, okay? They would use their powerful imaginations in their cities, which is another word for magic, but it was only benevolent magic or healing magic. Even if they wanted money or fame, money and fame would turn off the power, okay? So this is probably required when dealing with the voices in your head. It is the power of routine unawareness, the subconscious brain's matrix programming of survival, ego, aloneness, competition, religious dogma, and all of the other inverted or fake-ass ideas of the system or the matrix that cause our souls to fragment and give the Archons a way into our thoughts. Again, it is the unawareness that always lets them in. So it is each of our responsibility to ourselves to respect our minds and thoughts. And if you are too angry or wounded to evict them completely or figure out how to get these demons out completely, push these to evict them completely, push these abusers off you, realize those are not your thoughts. Okay, number one, disidentify and creatively find a way to put the Archons in their place, man. Tell them no. This is stupid. If you think I'm going to fall for this shit, you're wrong. Okay? As I did. You know, I wouldn't recommend telling them they're idiots and all that. But on some occasions it works. In the Matrix, the scum rise to the top. In the awakened human, the snake gets to stay in the base chakra until he is ready to purify and electrify the divine kundalini all the way up to your third eye, crown, and beyond, up the electric Christmas tree of your 15 chakras, 15 multidimensional, 15 DNA strands, and recognize that you are truly a ray of the divine Christ light in a flesh suit, for real, not just in a Bob Marley song or someone's pretty poem. The fake fathers don't want this, okay? This is the last thing they want, is for you to watch my videos and learn this. The Archons are masters of deception and will constantly distract you, scare you, humiliate, or subtly torture you to give up on your mission. If you allow this, if you allow them to do any of these things, man, if you let any of these fucking goddamn imposter thoughts in your brain, man, the first thing they're going to do is distract you and get you just off your mission. Yet a real and really courageous ensouled human will never give up on the fight. For if humans are truly responsible peace and freedom, good health, and full spectrum divine magical awareness can become our birthright. They can become our birthright when we are morally free and responsible in the aggregate of over 50% of the people. Then we begin the beginning days of human freedom on earth. Okay? But only then. Okay? Unfortunately, it's going to take more than just the tiny percent that are awake now. Okay? But more are waking every day. So I wanted to end with a little bit from a recent post on Circle of the Dolphins WordPress from Lisa Rene, who my dear friend Laura Eisenhower mentioned in one of her shows around 2020, I think, and then when I was healing my 15 broken bones, I plowed into the Ascension Glossary and .com and some of the material from the Energetic Synthesis website. And so Lisa Rene was this sexy young California girl in her 20s or 30s, and she supposedly is a walk-in. Now, this is another example of something that you really have to, to absorb her information. You really have to be open-minded enough to believe that such a thing could exist in a benevolent way. In other words, my feeling in my heart is that this information comes from a person who is a so-called walk-in, because the information is so in depth that I can't really explain. And again, she could be making this up, or could be extrapolating on the history she knows and trying to make a living doing this. However, I feel in my heart that the purity of this information it resonates with me, and what she was talking about like 2 days ago here was on this exact topic that the paper I just wrote that I read to you is about, of course, that I often talk about, the mind control within our own heads. So she might have made this up, but there's a good chance that this is a divine ET walk-in that was reporting on the accurate truth. So the human brain complex gives us a superpower of an intuitive ability of higher sensory perception that is merged and unified with the logical reasoning of your critical thinking. I'm starting in the middle here, but I've just got this one page of it. And she's really channeling some deep information. Sometimes it goes on for many pages. She could have written many books, but I think she's afraid to get in trouble. So that's the thing, that the walk-in phenomena, man, it doesn't mean that the person's going to be enlightened just because they're a walk-in, but their information can come from sources that might be good or bad, but from other places. So now humans need a healthy brain with a functioning limbic system and a healthy bioneurology that is not being assaulted by artificial mind control frequencies and neurological toxins in order for them to experience their spiritual connection and therefore feel compassionate empathy and achieve a higher consciousness and spiritual enlightenment. As most of us already know, star-seeded people tend to be natural empaths because they have unique neural profiles in which their limbic system actually functions at much higher levels to communicate with their heart center. This makes it very clear that the controllers want to destroy healthy emotional functions and higher sensory experiences that are connected to our spiritual experiences that are provided by healthy human brains by targeting our bioneurology with an assortment of energetic and physical neurotoxins, as well as now the frequency following method of brainwave targeting. Recent events revealed to us yet again, like the Travis Scott concert, for example, yet another aggressive attempt to destroy healthy function in the human brain and human nervous system with a full spectrum assault that is targeting the brain waves, but also is targeting the limbic system through the blaring fear propaganda that we cannot escape at this particular stage, unless, of course, we turn off all social media, all news and everything, and escape it and everything, and just don't listen to it. And of course, which is something we should all do. But when targeting the limbic system and the amygdala with artificial frequencies and fear, distortions in the emotional state are made which change the individual's perception and the meaning that they assign to that emotional state. And if this is accurate, man, that could explain a lot of crazy behavior we see lately, right? So when circuits are damaged in the limbic system with excessive terror, excessive fear, the amygdala emotional center becomes overwhelmed with the negative emotion, plummeting that person into feelings of dark depression and despair. When the limbic system has been unconsciously entrained into fear and negative emotions, people have difficulty with their perceptions and with memory recall of things, right? So they can't recall memories, and they're confused in their perceptions. So they can't use critical thinking to make a good decision, as they are unable to perceive the consequences of their actions. Okay, so this is extremely important to understand. When we feel confused about the unhealthy and the various extremely negative decisions that some people make around us, we can see that when people are plummeted into excessive terror and fear, they are unconsciously being entrained into fear and negative emotions, not only in their waking state, but in their sleeping state. That many people are being exposed to that are going to have difficulty with their perceptions and their memory recall, because it blocks their critical thinking to be able to see the consequence of their actions. So meaning they cannot see that because the fear is blocking it within their limbic system. Now, the areas of the amygdala and hippocampus in the limbic system provide the foundation for emotional states that connect us to higher sensory perception, where we connect to positive spiritual and mystical experiences during our meditative states. This means practicing meditation, cultivating stillness of the mind. We can develop mental skills and strengthen our brain to overpower artificial input towards negative emotions, replacing them with positive states by training ourselves, controlling our own mind to have inner stillness and a clear, calm mind. Going into deeper meditation to generate inner stillness works to clear emotional negativity and dissolve neuronal entrainment to negativity in our amygdala. I love the way that scientifically states what it does there, but through the mere focus of going inside of ourselves and holding neutrality and meditative stillness in the nothingness of the inner void, we are the eternal light within the complete absence of any unpleasant emotion or thought, just existing in the now moment of as pure presence, stillness, peace, and calm. When we decide to be the master of our own reality, the fears and the voices will cease to disturb us. This can be achieved through simple daily meditation in which inner stillness, focusing upon your breath, is emphasized, which is suggested to maintain inner peace during these incredibly chaotic times. So, I'm telling you, you can actually control yourself enough to realize that your responsibility is to take the best care of your mind body as you can. And so I can't do it for you. No one else can do it for you. It's on you. And Once you learn to not identify with radio station 666, realize it's not you, and apply some of these tools I've showed you. I've mentioned here. You got the courage to face the truth to begin with, and then you take these steps. Then, at least in your house or your apartment or your automobile, your tent, these beings don't really get much leeway. They don't really get much leverage or powers to do jack shit. Okay, so take back your mind. Okay, whose job is it? Whose mind is it anyway? Really. And you know what? If you're an artist or an artist of life, create a great day, my family. You will always remember your responsibilities, at least your emotional ones, and to begin with, when you take the courage.